John Chitter is unable to make it today, but it does look like we have everybody else. Good morning, Cindy. Yeah, we are being recorded. And today we do have one item on the agenda. It's 7201 Wisconsin Avenue. This is another concept plan for commercial to residential reconstruction. And so this is a similar review to the recent projects we reviewed by the DAP, where I will not follow the traditional sketch plan, site plan review, but the concept plan where the applicant currently is right now is being treated sort of as the sketch plan. And then the next time the DAP will review the item, it will be in the CRR plan, which is essentially the site plan review. And so the applicant had provided this submission and we reviewed it, provided our memo. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the applicant for presentation.
Yes, and we checked online and did not receive the memo.
Oh, no.
So I don't know if that works to our disadvantage or advantage, I don't know. But is there anything that should be highlighted up front?
Yes, let me pull it up really quickly. I think the one of the main points that the memo made is that the base on the southwest corner is, will front on the Farm Women's Market. It's a historic piece. It's there to stay. And in its current form, the base is not really representative of what the precedent photos are trying to achieve. And we think that the base should probably be more proportionate to those precedent photos. Let me go ahead and pull up that memo for you. That's one of the main focuses. And then there's a couple other moves that we appreciate it. And you're right, the memo is not online. Sorry about that. Let me see if it's in the meeting.
Yeah, Grace, it might be worth pulling up the memo and
Yeah.
2 minutes just walking through the key points, just so that everybody's on the same page.
Let me join the meeting.
I think Darcy might have put it in the Teams.
It is available in the Teams invite. Thank you.
Oh, so that's our bad for not checking there, sorry.
Well, it's what it ends up.
We do usually post it online, so.
Can't have it, but I accept the invite.
The first page is really introductory information, stating what the program of the project is. Can you guys see?
Do you want to just share it on the screen too?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you.
There we go. All right. First page is really introductory information, what the street types are for Wisconsin Avenue and Willow. And then the second page is really where we're getting into some comments. The massing concentrates its building height towards Wisconsin Avenue, with the tower in the middle, and then transitions down to Elm Street, Urban Park. We do appreciate the breakdown of scale, but there is the proposed articulation seems a bit more rigid. And maybe softening that would be helpful. And then really here in the third bullet point is where the large projecting set of balconies towards the southwestern corner is heavy. And it creates this interesting corner treatment, but it sort of looms this primary mass over the smaller scale Farm Women's Market. The fourth one is really getting into the base and how it could better express itself towards the relationship to the Farm Women's Market. There was a precedent photo in the upper right hand of page 828 that we thought was really representative of what the project was trying to achieve and could be helpful to relook at. And then there's a general comment about the proposed vehicular and loading access off Willow Lane. And I think this is similar to a comment that you're likely going to have not already received in the DRC comments about reworking the access off of the rear alley. Sorry for not having this.
No, that's okay. We should. Okay.
Well, should we just jump in then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Yavo, can you share your screen? All right, next page. So we're located at 7201 Wisconsin. Hi, everybody. Chris Hopper, SK and I. Good to see you again. Joined online by Sami Kirkdill and Yavo Ganchu, who are also working on this project. The site is on Wisconsin between Elm Street and Willow Street. It fronts only on Willow and Wisconsin. So basically it's at that intersection where Bethesda Avenue kind of curls around, intersects with Wisconsin Avenue, and then Willow continues one way into the neighborhoods to the east. Next. Current images of the site. So our site doesn't, like I said, doesn't take up the whole block. It does stop right here at the existing bank building. So it's basically the entire pink-ish red office building at the corner where the Panera is. Can you go back one? Yeah, for a second. On the bottom right, you can kind of see the existing garage entrance and the existing alley access point there. That was our major comment for our DRC yesterday, where we discussed kind of the site access there. And I'll get into that a little bit shortly. Next page. Willow is considered a neighborhood local street. Wisconsin, an urban boulevard. According to the guidelines, the site is also cited for as a retail node as well. So you can see we're currently proposing at the corner and potentially some more flex retail up the middle of the site. That's kind of a TBD market conditions. Next street. The site is zoned for CR5, C5, R 4.75, 250 feet. We are going through the CRR program. We are going to provide 17.6% MPDU, so we can take advantage of the additional height allowed per that designation. So the overall height, max height for the site will be 262 feet. Next. Our goals, as always, are to achieve the design goals of the Bethesda plan and provide a dynamic, sustainable, inclusive address that promotes a mix of housing in downtown through the office use conversion to a mixed-use multifamily development. Our goal is to add residential density immediately adjacent to the public transportation that is 2 blocks north of us for the Bethesda Metro stop, to try to reduce vehicular miles traveled in the region, but also to create a signature tower that's scaled, approachable, enhance the pedestrian experience, and becomes one of the iconic moments entering Bethesda from the south. Next. As I mentioned, Wisconsin is an urban boulevard. Its recommendations for a build-to line are 25 to 30 feet with a setback at the between the 3rd and 6th floor. As you can see here, we are bringing up portions of the ground floor recommended build-to line and setting back other areas a little bit farther to address some of our open space, our public open space requirements. This gives us an overall, build-to for the building line between 25 and roughly 30 feet. This allows us to create that large planting zone adjacent to the street, but also extra wide pedestrian through zone, and then provide an ample frontage zone that varies in up and down the block here. Next. Willow Lane, neighborhood local street, recommended build-to lines between 12 and 15 feet. With a setback between 2 and 4 stories. And I think, this is where staff has probably most of his comments, but we can talk through it and kind of our thought process on the massing and setback. Because of the, go back, because of, back one page. Yeah, sorry. Because Willow Lanes, the right-of-way is actually wider than where the current property line is, also deeper than the recommended build-to line. So you can kind of see it as we go through, we end up being set back almost between 22 and 25 feet because of where the right-of-way is, which exceeds the recommendation of the local street build-to line. But what this does is help us achieve a couple things. One, Willow Street's also designated as a canopy corridor. While we are trying to reuse the garage and the existing office building, the foundation walls, which extend basically to our property line, setting the building back, having a larger frontage zone and the extra wide pedestrian through zone allows us to hit a couple of those goals of the canopy corridor by providing the ample width of sidewalk, helps reduce the massing adjacent to the street by setting the building back farther than what is recommended. But also with that frontage zone, we'll have ample opportunities to provide some at grade greenery. We're further studying where the existing garage is going to be if there is the possibility of trees, but we're not I guess relying on the fact that we'll have enough depth with the structure to do that, but we are proposing to have additional planting in that frontage zone to kind of have that double layer of greenery on the side of this area. Next.
Sorry, can you say that again? Are you proposing street trees on Willow or not?
There will be street trees, but there wouldn't be a second row of trees.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a canopy corridor, and wherever possible, try to do it. It kind of contradicts itself a little bit in the sense that it wants double row of tree, but the build to line is only 12 to 15 feet. And because of where the right of way is, it actually kind of allows us to have a lot, a wider sidewalk section, but the existing garage extends to the existing property line. So we're going to have a condition where the building face will be here, the garage is going to be here.
Right.
And then, we're not.
Okay.
We'll see what we can do
Mhm.
with the planting, see if we can get anything planted higher, but at the bare minimum, we anticipate having larger greenery, and we're going to start working with our landscape architect after this as well. We're also we've been working on getting our garage scans to know exactly where the extents of the existing below grade
You're
garage
working with the
is.
existing garage?
Yes. So the existing garage fills out the current footprint all the way to the property line. It actually extends a little bit past the right-of-way line on Wisconsin as well.
Okay.
So you can kind of see we're showing some transformers here, but the garage comes all the way out
Okay.
to the existing property line.
Okay.
As we know of it right now, we're confirming that as well.
Mhm.
So in terms of service access and parking, we originally proposed everything off of Willow Street. The idea was to close off the private alley and use that for just pedestrian egress for our building and the lots to the east of us. They have some easements and within that alley that they are a party to. But discussing with DRC yesterday and looking at it, the request is to move the loading at a bare minimum to the alley, which we are going to do.
Is that the existing parking entrance?
Yes. So in terms of the garage entrance, we're currently proposing keeping the garage entrance, but as we look into the structure, look into what's there, we're going to see what we can do in order to put the loading into the alley. The current alley is only about 16 feet wide.
Yeah.
So to be able to accommodate the loading, we have to make that wider, 20, 25 feet. So we have ample space for turnarounds and access into there. So that would inherently push that wing down with the garage entrance coming down as well. So we just need to kind of coordinate and look at the structure of the garage there and see what we can do to either keep it there or, at the end of the day, we might push that into the alley as well. But where right now we kind of settled that everybody was happy if we moved the loading to the alley at the bare minimum. If we can keep the garage entrance there, we will keep it there. We just have to do that coordination with the existing structure. So in terms of the access, that is already what is changing. We are obviously having retail and lobbies of the ground floors. We'll have multiple points of access into the building for those areas as well. Next. So a quick shot of the view, the view coming up Wisconsin, looking north. This is one of the first tall buildings you'll see once you get into the heart of Wisconsin. Obviously, you have the Women's Market just south of us. We felt it was important to kind of move the overall mass to the center of the block, unlike a lot of the other buildings in our vicinity where a lot of the energy is focused at the corner. While we still feel the corner is important, we wanted to kind of transition, kind of bring the building set the building back because one, we have the women's market, and then to the east, we also have the park in the lower neighborhoods here. So we're focusing on bringing kind of the energy and the height of the building to our mid block, while stepping the building down, but also having an element that's unique and eye-catching at the corner, but a little bit lower in scale than you would typically see for a corner site. Next. So in terms of how we got to this massing, the goal really was to, hey, if we extrude the whole box, we have this big U. It feels fairly massive, especially looking south and looking east. We really wanted to kind of lessen the bulk of the building, create a little bit more elegant proportions at that corner, but also, step the building down to the neighborhood, because there is, a fairly large distance to the neighborhood, to the park. So it doesn't directly overwhelm the site, but we felt that it was important to really step that building down as we go through to help the proportions, but also just to help the massing as you go through. So as you can see here, this is the full block up to 262 feet. We had to go through, look at our build-to lines with the right-of-ways. You chop that off. You create this kind of box with the recommended, setbacks at 2 to 4 stories on Willow, 3 to 6 on Wisconsin. That's just showing a 4-story setback because that's the only kind of height that overlaps really in terms of the proportion of the building. We felt that 4 stories felt pretty good for the overall massing. So you can see when we go through, there's several portions where the 4-story base is articulated. Kind of creating that base, middle, top bulk reduction. Our goal, as I mentioned, was to bring the center of the block, the height, and then step the building back and carve it away to kind of reduce the step backs on Willow Lane. So you can see we brought the height up. We are setting the building back also on the north, on the south, to kind of create datums where you're creating top of the elevation in those situations. We're rounding the tower on the block and then setting back the building at the base in other areas, and also creating a carve out to create a 2 to 4 story base reading at the corner here. To further articulate and refine those massing grooves, at every movement, we've kind of created a hinge point that then creates this wavy articulation that is then ended with rounded corners at the side to kind of give it a little bit more elegant expression. I think the idea here into the architecture is having a very singular move that then is expressed as you go to the corner. So in my mind, when we were thinking out of it, we have this block of clay, and as we get to the building, it's all uniform, but we'll pull it out at the balconies and kind of create this expression that is the same language, but it's kind of pulled out and made a little bit more organic at the corners where we're expressing the architecture and balconies. Next. Let's go through some aerial views. This is from the southwest, looking east, southeast. So you can see kind of the step backs on the east side. So we have effectively an 8-story step back off of Willow Street, and then another 4-story on the north side.
Can I ask you, are all the buildings that are shown here existing? Are you differentiating between potential? Are these all existing buildings that are shown as context?
I think
South of the farm.
so.
Does that building exist south of the?
This one does not exist yet.
Yeah, would you do us a favor? Would you highlight what's, ghost the potentials the drawings, if you don't mind? Is that one that's being reviewed and in design right now? Is that why you're showing it?
They have project plan approval.
Okay,
and
so it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yes.
It's fine. Just ghost it or something. So we know
Okay.
what's there and what's
Yeah.
potentially coming.
Everything else is there.
Okay, great.
Actually, interestingly, though, the Starbucks site, we don't have that indicated.
Yeah, I think
I know
that one.
Go
Yeah.
back.
It's good to show what's, in site plan, what's
Uh-huh.
coming. I think it's really helpful. It's just good to also understand what's there, what's maybe there.
So yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
right here there is another 200 story.
250 foot.
50-foot, yeah.
Okay,
Block there, but that would be.
because I actually think that would actually help you.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
FYI.
Okay,
Okay.
next. South.
And Chris, in the view previous to this.
Yeah.
The passing of the Farms Women project shows the addition that's proposed and the stuff in the back, right? Like that's
Yeah,
that's what it's gonna be once that project is built.
yeah, I think so.
Are you guys working on that one? Is that, no, that's somebody else. Okay. But that's, you got it from public record or something?
Yeah. South. So I think let's stay here for a second. In terms of, the simple articulation, like I said, looking at kind of having a very consistent grid that's kind of pulled out and extended at the corners. So while this is still simple, still in design, the concept is you have this base reading that's at the tower that's fully expressed here at the corner. As you start hinging out, balconies are created, these elements of articulation. The spacing of the grid would remove, one of the parts to kind of simplify it even more, open it up, make it a little less bulky and overwhelming to try to kind of soften the architecture in these areas. But you can also see as this kind of connects through, we have that articulation that's connected all through the building. So it's all that one language that's, connected through the simple skin that's broken up by, the articulation of the balconies and the wave. Next. South down Wisconsin. This is from the park. So I think this is where, the building is fairly successful in terms of breaking down the mass as we look up from the neighborhood. It creates some elements of excitement because of the different levels that are expressed here, but also because of the Willow Street massing, it doesn't feel as overwhelming as it could if this whole building was extruded to the full height in this full U shape. So this is where you can kind of see the expression of the base a little bit better. A few more diagrams through. We're creating this kind of two-story datum here that allows the building to then set back off of Willow. This is all recessed around base here, steps back, creating that two-story datum, which is within the 2 to 4 story recommendations on Willow Street. Felt 2-story was also appropriate because of the scale of the women's market. But we did pull up this element at the corner to kind of create a slightly taller base reading at the corner of 4 stories that felt a little bit more proportional for the overall building. As you kind of come through, we're grounding the building at the center, stepping back, creating that balcony overhang element. And then as we get adjacent to our building, we go up to 6 stories and step back again and step the building back 22 to 25 feet from that building on the north. Next. So just kind of highlighting a few of the things we've already talked about. Obviously, the build to line here is 25 to 31 feet on Wisconsin, a little bit more than is recommended, but we do have a 5% public open space requirement. So some of that space will be going towards that requirement. On Willow, we are setting back between 22 and 25 feet. 10 feet I guess about 10 feet past all the recommendations. Some of that is because of the right of way, but we also felt it helped, push back the massing from the adjacent women's market on the south. Next. The Bay Street activation, the whole ground level, we have about 17 feet in our section. That's going to be activated with retail uses, amenity uses, lobby uses, all around the way. I think the idea is to create larger openings that extend and integrate with the architecture as a whole, so it becomes even more transparent as you walk through. The articulation varies around the whole building to kind of create that additional level of activation between the 6-story setback on the north, this 2-story datum that extends all through the building, and then that 4-story at the corner here. Next, the corner element. I think, Grace, I think in one of your guys' comments, it felt like comment was like it was looming over the women's market. I think maybe some of that is due to looking at the rendering. Now there's the darkness of the shadows of it. I think our goal was the fact that if we did a larger, expansive recessed balconies that's within this grid, the actual mass of the building is set back another 5 feet. We're having this kind of screen wrap around, which I think will soften it and feel a little bit lighter than if the building was actually out there. But I think the element here, or the design style, because we're not showing windows, we're not showing those materials, does make it feel a little heavier with those shadows, which would be lessened with glazing.
I
But
think one point that I didn't read out loud in the was that it's have the 2-story base and then the setback, and then above, I guess maybe 1 or 2 stories, it looks like that corner comes back out. So we're not getting the true step back. I think that's where the sense of looming comes from.
Are they in the same plane, the balconies and
the balcony and the base are on the same plane, but obviously the interior space is set back 5-6 feet. So
So the balconies, okay, I see.
yeah, so this where you see these verticals
Mm.
and this comes out it is in the same plane, but where the actual interior space is then set back another 5 feet. So that's kind of our play on, hey, the massing itself. If I stripped off those balconies, it would be a 5-foot setback from the base, creating that, and having this area recessed continuous balcony would soften the massing there and create this visual element at the corner. There. So that was our intention. Next. In terms of our tower separation on the north, we have a 6-story base. We're stepping back 22 feet because the angles, it goes up to 25 feet. And then on the east side, we have a 16 to 17 foot current setback for the alley. That's going to push to 20 to 25 feet because of our change that we've discussed. And then the tower itself is set back 48 to 75 feet because of the setbacks as we carve the building massing to the top. Next. I think our goal here with the step backs was to create a series of setbacks that all are kind of cohesive, but all create this integrated, interesting architecture that's not just the simple wedding cake step back. So you can see between the recommended build 2 lines where all the buildings set back from those points. So instead of building to the build 2 line straight up, we have these areas that we're setting farther back at the ground floor, creating a natural step back already that's going to be extended all the way through the building, and then stepping back and creating overhangs and articulation through there. So you can see on both Willow and Wisconsin, there's multiple setbacks, creating the base, creating the top, but also creating that depth and articulation that lessens the bulk of the building. Next. In terms of the reducing bulk, we're using unique geometry, using balconies, varying tower heights, all of which I think adhere to a lot of the recommendations of design guidelines to help reduce the mass, help reduce the apparent face, the length of the building, as well as the height because of the varying tower heights as you step back. Next. Next. As I mentioned, our goal was to move the full express height from the corner to the mid block. We are looking at integrating penthouse mechanical screening into that height, finish off and give that top proportion building, but also help skinny up the overall massing of the building.
I just had a question about views like this, like in this view, Chris, could you just roughly locate where the actual farms women's market building is? Because it's not on the street. It's quite a ways.
Yeah, it's right here.
It's, there's actually space at that corner and not a building, right? I think that's important to kind of point out.
Yeah,
Uh,
I believe from curved building, it's the women's market's about 60 or 80 feet step back from there.
And not just on Willow, on Wisconsin too, like it's kind of.
Yes, yes, it's
sitting
also,
back from Wisconsin. So I just think that's a helpful thing to point out for the DAP.
Yeah.
That it's not holding the corner, so to speak.
yeah, I mean, I think it's not holding the corner, it's set back, we're setting back farther than recommended. So I don't think we're towering over the existing, structure of it. There's ample distance between the two, plus it's on our southern side, so we're not going to be casting shadows on it because of our height or anything like that either. Next. We're obviously cognizant of all the bird safe design elements that we'll need to provide. I think a lot of the depth and articulation with the balconies, the overhangs, the setbacks will create a lot of opportunities for shadows and material changes that will help create that distortion on the building. And then our base middle since Grace, you said there
The top.
the top one. Yeah. So this is in terms of our precedent looking at it for that corner. We were envisioning a very similar element, but just 2 stories instead of the 5 stories that's seen here out of this corner.
Chris, to be honest, that we're not really capturing that massing approach in this massing, right?
I mean, it's well, it's not supposed to be identical. This is great precedent.
Okay.
This is what we're inspired by.
Right.
We thought that there was something strong about how this building top right did hold the corner for the base.
Mhm.
It feels like you can kind of see it takes the base and it looks like it peels out and holds the corner, which was kind of what we were looking at doing here. So ours comes out and peels back.
Understood.
There's at a larger setback.
The compelling thing about the upper right is that the building above it steps back from that base, And
Yeah.
so just to be clear,
Yeah.
it's a nice precedent, I agree. And I can see the reference, but I just want to.
Yeah, I think in terms of our
Yeah.
reference, it was more for the articulation of the base and how it hits the corner and not the setback from the base.
And the balconies, maybe.
Yeah, and some balcony. I think in general, a lot of precedent is showing that simple language that's kind of seen throughout the building where it changes a little bit more dynamically in spots of interest. So that was what we are getting at with a lot of our precedent. So you can see here, this precedent, windows change in size as it articulates, it changes at the base. Yeah,
Oh, it's tough. Yeah.
It is touch.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't worry, we have one at the office. I gotta get used to it. Larger openings in the base, but that, extend through the building and, talk to one another. So even though there is a clear datum between the middle and the base, there's elements that connect all the way through. That's kind of what we're looking at as our inspiration. Next. And again, looking at kind of simple ways where the massing and the moves kind of creates the visual interest of the balconies and the corner elements here, just by recessing, extending, but using that same language that's drawn through the building. Next. And then different ways that we can, step the building back, but also integrate the tower top into the building.
I do want to do a quick time check, so you guys.
I was gonna say,
We don't need to look at the parking.
I was gonna say, we have the plans, if there's any questions on the plans and setbacks and sections, but let's finish this up and open it up to questions and comments.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I have-
Can you go back to the massing diagram
Okay.
pages?
Yep.
Well, so I'll jump on. So I think the general gist of pushing the density to the north is the right move. The thing that I'm missing, just massing wise, I think the back is more successful than the front. And one of the reasons for that, I think, is that everything's just so tight on the front. And I understand the challenges of density and all of that. Is there, just wondering if there's a way to either, I would personally be up for pushing the tall volume all the way to the north. I'm not sure you need the north setback. Could you go to a view from the north, please? What's your colleague's name? Chris?
Yavo.
Yavo?
Here, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any street views from the north?
There. There.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, it's the south. I'm kind of, I'm wanting to keep the tallest form off the street a little bit more and highlight the shoulders more strongly. And especially from the south, this is fine. I think it's the central massing and the lack of any depth between the shouldering and the main volume that's kind of my biggest issue, I think, with the massing to the south, to the farmer's market, either getting the bigger step backs between the south shoulder or eliminating the south shoulder and bringing the lower shoulder around to the front. If you go back to the south view, yeah, you sort of want the lower volume to be the corner, not the middle volume, if you know what I mean. This wants to be the defining volume from the south, if possible. And I'd even be willing to kind of push that further north and have that be the defining element. That's the kind of my first reaction to it. Massing wise, see what the other DAP members think. Everything is just a little bit too flat along the street in terms of setbacks for me. But the approach of pushing the density to the north, keeping it a little bit more off the street if you can, that seems good. I think I was worried about the neighborhood perspective, but I think that's actually okay, working pretty well. I think it's the cantilevering of that volume, the floating of it, and the need to have the lower volume hold the corner versus the middle volume. I'll call it middle. I know there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 volumes, 5 volumes, but the one that is either has to come down or the south one would want to come across.
Gotcha.
It's my first reaction to it.
Is that just to kind of reduce the bulk massing at the corner?
It's just there's like too many volumes and there isn't enough setback between them, and so they're kind of fighting with each other. In my opinion, there's not a strong hierarchy of them, and it's not quite doing enough to relieve the overall mass. So that's just some initial reactions. Can you go back to the massing diagram page? Yeah, those two they're quite equal in weight. The main volume and the southwest volume are kind of fighting with each other, personally. Either a greater setback between them along the street, if you could push the central mass inward a little bit more, or yeah, I'll see what others think, but I'm just thinking that the southwest volume is kind of too tall for the corner.
So you're saying this volume here. and
I would
this
push
volume
it. I'd be up for pushing it. I'd be up for pushing it all the way to the north.
Yeah.
And letting this guy hold the corner. Possible. If you can get more of a distinction between these, either a break or a fold or a reveal, that would also help in breaking up the mass along Wisconsin. Do you guys have any?
No, gentlemen,
perspective?
we do not know what you are pointing to on the screen. If you can,
Good point.
please. You
We're
can
just looking at Yulia at the relationship of the different volumes that they're proposing.
Okay.
I think the general approach is the right instinct, basically pushing the mass to the north. That's the right move because it allows you to step to the south, right?
Yeah.
And so now for me, it's just the defining of the southwest corner. There's sort of the central volume and the first shoulder, which is, let's just call the tall one A and the next one B. A and B are kind of fighting each other and nobody's winning. And so either volume C, which is the south volume, could come around and hold the corner, and then this gets pushed in, or you push that back and get more of a distinction between those two. That might also help. But
Yeah.
that's my first reaction.
Yes, I agree with that, with Robert's reaction. I do not see right now in the proposed massings the distinct base, middle, and top. Perhaps it's the rendering. I can see it a little bit better when we are on page A15, the street view at the corner of Willow and Wisconsin. So I can see, you know, because of the overhang, I can see the 4-story base, or, you know, the first story base plus the recess. I would also suggest in your precedent images, some of the facades are ganged up between 2 or 3-story volumes, where you're not showing that right now, but those precedent images are actually quite useful and will be useful when you further detail the building. Do you know what I mean? When you have a when you combine 2 or 3 stories into like one window or frame, and that makes it less of a giant building looming over, at least visually. I do believe that you need a little bit of a setback from Willow Lane. When you pointed it out in dimensions, I think you said that that volume that is closest to the alley is about 9 feet setback, right?
Yeah, so at the farthest,
Mhm.
so at the north end, so on the right side of this image, the part that goes, 17 stories almost, that
Yeah.
is effectively 9 feet setback from the recommended build to line, which is in line, with the, if we didn't push
Yeah.
this building all the way back because of the right of way
Mhm.
distance, this would have been perfectly in line with the build to line setback distance
Yeah.
from the street.
So mathematically, it's almost a 10-foot setback, and that mathematically, that sounds right. But when I look at the volume, it doesn't look like it's enough. And again, that might be a rendering because everything is opaque right now.
Yeah.
And windows and glass, right? The transparent materials will give it more of a setback visually. In terms of you are obviously relocating Loden to be off of the side, off of the alley. You're proposing a little pocket park. I think there's an amenity area that it's at ground level or at alley grade. Is
Yeah.
that a semi-public or
No,
private?
that would be, we were kind of anticipating that would be a private area that would either work with and capture a lot of our stormwater management requirements because at the ground level, but also, maybe there would be an area that would be, accessed off the amenity space as like a little outdoor garden area. So the alley, there was anticipated could probably have a private screen between the alley and this space to make it feel more welcome in that space, but having that opportunity now, if the fact that we're moving loading back here and, need to look at the structure with the garage, that may just disappear or get shifted. I mean, that is kind of, in terms of the massing, that size is what's extruded with the fingers in the massing. So
I actually like this idea. Because there's an alley, I wonder if there's an opportunity to do something to the alley and make that park semi-private. There are areas in Bethesda closer to the metro where you are walking through neighborhoods and there are semi-private parks that you can walk into, sit on a bench, and they don't completely get closed off with gates, but there is an indication that this is not completely open to public, but yet very inviting, calm resting spaces with trees and plants and benches. In terms of, just to go back to the setback, because you're using existing garage structure, I'm realizing, I just wanted to point it out for everyone else, I'm realizing the further you set back this face on Willow Lane of the building up above, that load needs to carry through to the existing garage. So you also have a limitation on how far back you can actually practically can set it back. all right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're losing a lot of existing garage spaces.
Yeah.
And probably
I thi-
like gonna be in the drive aisle at that point. So you,
But, and that's kind of partially, as I mentioned earlier, we're getting the scans of where those walls are, I believe this week, to kind of confirm everything, but we have some old drawings that we've been referencing. And yes, to your point, where those setbacks are, they're catching columns right before the drive aisle. I think we have a little bit of wiggle room to massage where that setback is, but there are, like you said, the structural limitations of what makes sense to build with those setbacks. So I think maybe there's a way to further articulate the that two-story base in this view a little bit more to give a larger apparent setback with where the actual tower is, and that would help. I think the tower itself, like we discussed, is mathematically in the right spot for the recommendations and probably structurally with the garage. So I think it's if we can express the base in a deeper manner, maybe pull that out a little bit farther, because we are pulling it back as you go on Willow Lane. So maybe that stays a little bit closer to the street edge instead of pulling back. It'll help create a larger apparent setback there.
I mean, the building overall is large, but also the building across the street, it's quite large as well. It's a lot of new high-rise buildings that come in online along Wisconsin corridor. And there is a tool, I think you were pointing out, that there is some breathing room. There is that little park on the corner, 7200 Wisconsin, right across the street. I think somebody mentioned, so that's not going away, right? That Starbucks park or park in front of Starbucks that is quite successful.
It's public use space for 7200, so you're correct, it's not going away.
So
You're saying there's a big development that's not shown here, that's happening in Catty Corner.
Yes.
How tall is it?
250.
You should show it.
Yeah.
That's actually.
Mhm.
We can show it. No, I mean, you worked on it, so I can.
Okay.
It just, in terms of our views here, it kind of gets in the way of some of those aerials, so we just hit it.
But that's the point.
It's,
it helps you.
yes,
I think it helps you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
for sure. We can throw that in there.
Yeah. And I don't know how this, we can make comments about pure design, and then there's there is reality. So I don't know if you're, practicality of constructing something, which we have already discussed, right? The existing garage structure, but there's also pro forma to make something feasible in this very difficult, difficult economic conditions, right? So I don't know, how many units you would lose. Will it render the project infeasible if you're setting back another, I don't know, 5 feet and losing the depth of units, and therefore overall number of units is less. But just in pure design, to me, the building wants to set back a little bit more on Willow Lane for that lower volume that is right across the street from the women's market.
We achieve that through some sort of materiality
Well, I think that's what,
changes, because I know that we had talked
Yeah,
about that as well.
I think that's kind of what we were, and it's so hard to express in an opaque model for this view, right? Because it's supposed to be, the massing moves, and I understand this setback. Like if I stripped off this balcony screen, there's your 5-foot setback.
Yeah.
And that's why we kind of,
If you did that, if you strip off the balcony screen, actually, David, why don't we let others offer their ideas? David, do you want to offer your opinions?
I do, but Sandeep just raised her hand, so why don't I let her
Sandeep?
go first?
It's okay, David, go ahead. I just wanted to make sure that there was some time for me to speak.
Oh, sure. Thanks so much. And I have to jump off at 10:30, so I appreciate you letting me jump in here. I thought I strongly agreed with a lot of the comments in the staff report and Rob's comments also. When I looked at this, I had a sense that there was sort of insufficient variation in the facade, or there's some undulation to it, these hinges that you describe, but they're sort of they're almost too subtle to read in a lot of ways. And I was wondering, could you go to slide A18, please? Yeah. So there are a couple of things about this that I wanted to note. I don't know, you made reference in your presentation to there being sort of a simple treatment of the facade, by which I hope you mean that there will not be sort of a great deal of material variation, that these, and consistent with some of the images that you showed, that there will be a sort of consistent facade treatment. One of the things that I would very much not like to see here is that middle tower volume is sort of one of those glass eruptions between a couple of different building forms that seems to be kind of common, and I think kind of leads to a very incohesive looking building. So, but from this perspective, and I know it's a bit of a skewed perspective, but it's sort of the way one would see it from the street. That volume to the south looks very heavy, and I know it's darker because of the shading, but relative to the volume at the north, which seems very light, and then there's something I find a little jarring about. There's an asymmetry to the building, which I think can be great if it's sufficient. I think if the asymmetry is too subtle, it just kind of gets lost. But here there seems to be a lot of asymmetry, but then that center volume has this very symmetrical element to the way it bows, in a way that I don't know. I find it kind of in tension and not in a sort of appealing way. I don't know if that registers with any of the architects on the call, but maybe they could explain it better than me. But I find that sort of, a bit jarring. The last thing I wanted to comment on was you referred to there being a sort of base variation, sort of in the height on one of the slides. And as Yulia sort of said, this building does not feel like it has a strong base to me. And I think sort of more consistency and less variation would probably be helpful in that regard. And I think that's the extent of my comments.
Sandeep?
Quick question before I say anything. Just to confirm, I think I tried to make sure I understand, but the Starbucks Park, since we called it that, is that staying or is that going to be changing?
Yes.
That's staying. I think you're referring to
Staying.
the old Starbucks that was across the street
Yeah.
where the Jose
Yeah,
is.
There's a building missing on the southwest corner of the slide, but
Okay.
the open space is staying, right?
It's staying.
The recently revamped open space
Yes.
is staying.
Yeah, that area is staying.
All right. So I agree with everything that's mentioned in the staff report and what my colleagues just mentioned. So just adding a little overlay of landscape related comments here. As I look at the existing conditions, what I see we kind of missed is there is a major corner treatment at the intersection of Wisconsin and Willow Lane. So that is something that isn't there anymore. And when I look at the overall connectivity of the site with the existing space that's across the street on Wisconsin, that existing corner that is there right now, which seems like has really good seating area, some art element as well. And then there's dedicated bike lanes over there as well, which take you back to the park. So there is sort of like this environment of pedestrian connectivity and the idea of coming to a space with some sort of art element. I really liked Julia's comment about the garden that is proposed a lot around the alley, and I think if that space at the corner is going away, and I appreciate all the additional setback that's been provided. So obviously would like to see what the landscape architect envisions those spaces to be. But how are we going to compensate for that loss of the corner and what the community is used to utilizing that corner for? So if there is so there seems to be a potential to integrate the garden space by the alley and perhaps looking at the treatment of the entire alley, understanding, what the loading, unloading requirements, timing, what time the main usage is going to be. Is there an aspect of connectivity between the corner, between the alley and what happens at that amenity space? And then further how it sort of extends itself to the park. So I think there is sort of like a little, what I'm looking to see is if you zoom out a little bit, how does all of that fabric, like what's your team's attitude to it? And how does design start to represent that attitude on the ground plane? So, not to history, not to the corner park, bike lanes, the bigger park. And then you also mentioned that there's additional setback along Willow Lane, but there is an existing parking garage that may limit what can be done. I'm curious to see if it would allow some kind of raised planters to break that space a little bit, in addition to, the planting areas that you have along the curb. So I think there's a big opportunity to sort of create connectivity to the existing park and make it feel like it's all really integrating with the fabric in that area. That's all.
Say about the alley is the property owners that have access to it that are located to the east. They use it very much for sort of operational purposes, so it's a little grim back there.
Yeah.
And we are only controlling one side of it.
If you can get that loading in the alley, it would be great, even if it was just one at a time.
Yeah.
If you don't widen it and ruin your whole structural grid, that'd be, you'd get a lot of points for that.
I mean, I think we're committed to doing that. So we just had to, it's more making sure that the garage entry still works structurally, right? So with all the parking layouts. So we just got to see, because that may need to go in as well and rotate. We just have to look at it. We haven't gone that far yet. So I think knowing exactly where those extents of the garage are, I mean, we have a good sense, but if we're going to widen this 5 feet, there's also then the ask of, we need to have a pedestrian refuge then between here, and that pushes it another 5 feet. So effectively, we would be pushing it 10 feet almost.
I just wonder if you have to widen it. Why can't you just keep it and then widen it beyond
And recommendations are like the minimum is 20 feet.
from the DPS? Yeah, but
And then, I mean, then we have to look at the truck turning.
well,
I think some of it, I think some of it
it's
is
either put it
actually,
on the street or accept our offer, right?
yeah. So I think we could run it with the, civil engineer could run some truck turning movements in here. I just don't know if 17 feet is going to allow us to turn in, turn out with an.
No, you'd widen beyond a certain throat, I think.
Oh, you're just saying open it up. Yeah. So I think we need to explore options and see how it works. So, it's just something we discussed yesterday. So.
Yeah, I think that it'll be really great if you can sort of do some of the points that you heard, both for the landscape and the architecture, like look at the proposed buildings across Wisconsin and also south of the Farms Women's Market. Really look at the Farms Women's Market and its plaza as an outdoor room. And there's going to be 3 new buildings that are going to shape that outdoor room. And maybe that gives you some cues on how that massing of this building needs to participate in that
Totally agree.
conversation.
Yeah.
Because I think
Well, I will.
seeing it in isolation is one thing, but once you start to see, okay, what is the building to the south doing? What's
To
that
the
corner?
southwest.
Yeah, to the
Yeah,
southwest
yeah.
doing, like how is
Building
that?
to the southwest.
Yeah, so-
Chris, we get to show it.
Yeah, I think all those.
I know, I'm just saying, we'll
It's
show.
not too much trouble,
Yes.
and you have the model in your office. I think it'll help your conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can show it.
Do you mind
where that's-
going to the view? Yeah, that one. So when you say that the alley is going to be widened, does that mean the entire building and both those forms going down, everything's going to get pushed?
Potentially, yes.
See, I would rather get the variance on the alley width, put more step backs on the front than setting.
Well, and so, I mean, kind of continue what you were saying, what I was saying.
Yeah.
And I will say, we have, your idea of bringing the side around to the front, we have discussed.
Even if you just
Internally.
even if you just shove it back. So this is the plane that defines. the
Yeah,
corner.
you're seeing this.
Push it
perhaps
back a
just
scooch,
push
yeah.
back a little bit.
Push it back a little bit, yeah.
I think,
That one view on page 18 is the key view of the massing. It just shows the two fighting forms, Chris, the tall tower and the south, they're kind of both fighting for attention, right?
I mean,
And
that,
then it's like too many kids calling for attention and there's no harmony. And so you diminish one and you
Yeah,
win. And I think
you don't
even-
mind, you're saying,
I would even,
whatever, don't worry about that.
I think the north, pushing the mass to the north is a stronger move and it'll be just fine. You'll pick up the density you lose by. And then you get a more harmonious top, middle, volume stepping. They're kind of fighting right now. Without losing density, I think you can recapture it, hold the line to the north, unless you're worried about firewalls or fire setbacks or something. And then diminish this southwest corner because it's kind of fighting for attention right now with the central tower.
part of it is the way that's rendered, I think. Like, when I look at that, sometimes I see the corner jutting out further.
But even when I
And then I look
squint,
at it differently
even
than
when I
in
squint.
fact.
And I think,
Yeah.
No,
I know what you mean. I know, I'm not trying to be.
David's
difficult.
comment, we are,
Yeah.
like the president's,
Yeah.
say, we're not gonna have solid wings in a glass tower. It is the same, or
I think that's wonderful. Your kind of difficult mass approach is good, where things are coming off the same volume and the same fabric. That's all good.
but I also think,
Very economical. So it's just, right now, those two things are fine.
yeah, I think I think comment is heard, and I hear you. But I also think some of it is, once there's glazing, rendering, it like I think we're trying to accomplish the same things. It doesn't read as well here because of the lack of materiality yet. Because we have looked at it, and that is the idea of softening it, bringing that setback. So I think if there's other ways we can do that,
Let's just ask Yulia and Sandeep if they agree that sacrificing some of the north setbacks would be worth it to get better setbacks on the south.
Yes.
I agree. Yep.
No, there's no leading these two. I know these two. There's no leading.
yeah, I hear you.
Anyway, just a thought.
No,
The
but we
neighborhood side is
we have-
surprisingly successful.
we have,
It's really important.
We did a lot of some jiggering.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's working pretty well,
but yeah, I mean,
Even there, you look at that, again, call it volume B, push it off the street a little more and you're kind of there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, I mean, what you described, we have scheduled.
already looked at.
We have, and it wasn't unsuccessful, but we just haven't gotten to the next level of,
It wasn't about density, it was about,
yes,
okay.
of, hey, we need to take that next step
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the architect. I think the density, we're comfortable with what you're saying, as long as it structurally makes sense with where this garage ends up and the setbacks.
Garage is gonna need a lot of surgery, obviously.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
was-
You know that.
It was built for a 7-story structure, not a 27.
Yeah,
not a
so-
6.
So you get a
So-
little bit because it was office, but not enough
as long as we're, we're not
underpinning.
incredible jumping jacks to get that additional step back, I think there are ways to do that. So
I was worried about the capacity of the footings.
those are, we're keeping only the foundation walls.
But the footings can't carry this weight.
No, no, yeah. So, yeah, those, we did a quick study on that, and we get like 3 more stories on this site with the existing footings, and
Yeah.
that's about it.
Well, anyway, I applaud the first move, which was pushing the density to the north and still.
Well, it sounds like, that
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
These moves on this side,
Yeah.
good. We just need to lessen the impact at the south corner a little
And
bit.
show your neighbor, because I think that changes everything once you see it.
And show all of the existing.
Yeah.
And proposed.
So we're almost 10 minutes over. I think the big question here is, does the panel want to see this again addressing some of the massing comments before we move to the next phase of CRR/site plan.
If there's time, it'd be nice. I mean, it can be, again, it can be an email. We don't want to hold things up. We know how difficult things are. You could email it around. What do you think, Yulia? And And-
Yeah, I think, I mean, you guys are trying to do expedited, so, yeah, email is fine and we can comment. You're nearly there, so.
The only hesitation I have about email is being able to wrangle the comments. I think sometimes when we have the comments in the room, it's easier to, as long as you're okay with that, they might be like,
Maybe
Well,
like a
this-
Can we do a
virtual
Teams
meeting?
call?
we can,
Yeah,
we can find that.
we could do it
early.
in
Yeah.
call.
Yeah, call,
It's fine. I'd rather us all be aligned.
go to their office, whatever,
Submit.
whatever. We've
Yeah.
done that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, we go there.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know.
I'm volunteering.
It's not that.
Your space, but.
Yeah, but-
That'd be great. Come on in.
Yeah.
Tommy would love it.
Okay, then.
We keep pushing for, I mean,
Chris, one more quick question. What is the little nub on the north? What is that little guy doing?
That's
that,
a big
is
Paul
that for-
question.
A big what?
That was a question from Paul who wasn't able to make it. today.
So-
What is it doing for you? Is that curiosity?
well,
Because I think I just solved the density issue, if you're willing to give that up.
well, I think what we could do here for your question, I would eliminate this one. This one,
Yeah, what's that doing?
this goes right up next to our property, so we have to set back.
10 feet.
Recommendations 22.5
It's a
feet.
tower.
You want a good south corner?
Uh,
Let me ask a question.
At-
Given the dimension of
At the
that,
bare,
How wide is it,
that's
that thing?
60 feet.
No, the little nub,
yeah,
the setback over the nub, how big is that? I'm calling it volume E, I guess.
Can you?
I thought it was close to.
It looks like about 20 feet wide.
I thought it was.
Oh, no, yeah, yeah.
It's 2 to 26.
It's 22 to 25 by 60 deep.
Sorry, how wide is this?
Yeah, that's
25?
well, it's 22 at the front, 25 in the back.
And that's a fire code thing.
Can I ask
for-
another
You don't
question?
need 10 feet for fire code. Yeah,
Recognizing that that bank building, it's not
We would,
historic.
if we were to do it, we would like 15. That gives us the opportunity to have flex.
yeah, you get 45% at 10.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't
it
need
well,
more
it
than that for
depends.
Residential.
That's what the skin's looking like, right?
Yeah.
But the general recommendation is 22 feet.
For tower separation.
So if,
Yeah.
if you are all.
I mean, that bank, is that bank gonna
Setback.
get in this
That's
case,
what-
because the,
that's What I was gonna say. I mean, it's not
Practically,
historic, but
yeah.
as a practical standpoint, given the depth of that bank,
Yeah.
you're never gonna have
A tower.
separation. So is there need to
and look how
provide
small
that?
that parcel is. I mean, we're not in New York, you guys. Is that gonna get redeveloped, you think? Unlikely. On a postage stamp, not likely.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
not
I
to
would
say they won't try and reserve their rights to do it later on.
but
right?
But
to
as
the-
long as
to the
we're,
point is, if the DAP is, staff is flexible, we could lessen that to 10,
Right.
15 feet.
Yeah, we're trying to just
Mhm.
slide
That's
everything
what
off
we're
the dust.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. We're just trying to hit.
Well, I mean, it's okay with me. It's up to these folks.
Yeah, I think there's a priority here on the south side that needs to be
Exactly.
recognized.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if we are making these adjustments, then we would really expect a strong
It's-
response. on
It's
the
gonna
south
make
end.
it easier for us structurally as well. So,
Yeah.
because we would be in this area having to slope columns on those first two floors to get into the tower. So if we can kind of align everything,
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
it easier.
I don't think it's a huge risk for you.
Okay. Yeah,
It's a
I mean, I
fixed-
think
You gotta think about it, but I don't see a tower taking that postage stamp and
I don't
coming
think
up
so.
to your.
yeah.
It's just too small. It's probably, how big is your site overall?
30, the
So
net
that's like
tract,
6,000 square feet, that bank?
It's, I mean,
How big is?
I think it's about
There's like
10. I mean, if you, that amenity space, the blue is 9,000 square feet.
Oh, so it's like 6 or 7 buildable, right? Once you do.
Oh,
the
yeah,
setback.
not even, it's.
Not even in New York.
We did a quick study on it.
Yeah. Yeah, but that helps a lot. I mean, yeah. Sammy, I would go north.
I think he'd agree with you.
Okay.
So, great.
good. This was helpful.
Yeah, very.
Yes. The other thing that it's somewhat pertinent to the DAP, yesterday, the county council approved the overlay zone ZTA that would officially brings the Bethesda overlay zone forward to the new public benefit structure. So when you guys officially resubmit, you'll be able to use the,
What does that mean?
well, so this is why it's
Big
put into the larger DAP. So we have been working, staff has been working on updating our public benefits to be, more in line with our county priorities in 2025. Atul and I have been working on it for many years. It officially was approved last year, but then we still had to address the overlay zones such as Bethesda because they tailored it in a certain way. The new overlay zone, the new public benefit structure is based on tiers in terms of public benefit scoring and evaluation, whereas like the old structure is like public benefit points.
Right. Oh, I see.
What we did with the overlay zones ETA, it was a really technical assignment of like, how does public benefit points align with the tiers? And so essentially how it affects your review moving forward will be projects will be requesting a tier 1, 2, 3, 4 in design excellence as opposed to 10, 20, or 30 design excellence points. And I was thinking about maybe doing like an explainer or like a quick refresher, like off
Yeah.
monthly meeting,
Please
just
do,
to
yeah.
explain to you guys the transition.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That'd be really helpful.
And I believe Tools in it correct, there's a,
1 year grace period.
yes.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
this project, we really have the option of going under.
You can
the
opt in or
old
stay in the current.
Yes.
Mhm.
The new menu is a lot better.
I think it's
I
easy to
think
achieve.
I'm
Well,
biased.
I mean, I have,
Yeah, I mean, is it gonna be easier to review and get good, good points?
I mean, if we did our job correctly, I think a tier 2 would be equivalent to like a 15, 20 point request either way. I mean, 20 points is probably tier 3, but yeah. So.
Great. We'd love to hear that.
But you have the option.
Right. okay. I mean, I know some projects that are definitely going in under the new.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I don't know that we've carefully evaluated it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Very
Thank you.
helpful.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much. So exciting to see
Yeah. Development.
the CRR helping. I mean,